Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
BPL customers weigh in on a planned increase for electricity bills. The latest in the Shane Gibson bribery trial. The Prime Minister says the Bahamas will be guided by other countries when it comes to marijuana. Plus, Kalik celebrates all things Junkanoo.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Amid plans to increase electricity bills to help tackle Bahamas Power and Light's legacy debt, members of the business community have accused BPL of holding consumers hostage. They questioned why BPL customers should have to bear the financial burden while receiving poor and unreliable service.
We always have to remember that they are still a business. And if any other business did this to us, we would walk away from that business.
But you have no option here.
I have no option. Do you have any option?
As Bahamas Power and Light looks to raise $350 million while attempting to tackle its more than $300 million legacy debt, the business community isn't too pleased with plans for government's rate reduction bond, according to Deal. And with confirmation from both the Minister of Finance and BPL Chairman that consumers will likely see an increase in electricity bills, Deal said with only one power provider in the country, the lack of options has enabled the company to hold consumers hostage.
It really is not fair to the Bahamian people, right? And I understand the mess that BPL is in, and I understand that for the last 40 years, each government has blamed the government before, and you know what? We don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care who's to blame.
Works Minister Des Bannister tabled the rate reduction bond bill in the House of Assembly earlier this month. Deal called on BPL to give the rate at which light bills are expected to go up, rather than giving BPL customers an unpleasant surprise.
Give us figures. Have the decency to give us figures so that we can say, you know, if they told me $20 a month, I'd suck my teeth, but I would pay it.
For the average small business owner like Nate, who owns a barbershop along Farrington Road, there's not much of a choice, and he's come to accept that.
It really ain't got nothing to do with my say or my feelings, because however I say or however I feel, they ain't gonna change nothing. Because like I said a few minutes ago, regardless of the fact that we pay it, you got a choice, lights on or lights off.
Nate's been in the business for over 20 years, and despite not having a generator, he said he's come to accept the fact that load shedding will occur.
Because we ain't got no option. We ain't got, it ain't like BEC, what they call it, BPL and, not BPL, BTC and Alive. When competition came, you see the difference. BPL ain't got no competition, so it is what it is.
Not so accepting is Andretti Bain, a former Olympian and now owner of the Bahamian Dream supplement store. Bain said it's already hard keeping the lights on, not to mention dealing with blackouts and their credit card machine.
We had to turn customers back, hoping that they could go to the ATMs and come back, so it definitely had a negative impact on the business.
But not all come back.
Oh, in retail, there's a 50% chance that once a customer walks out, even if they say they come right back, something happens where, it's rare that they come back.
He said it would be good if businesses were able to know by how much their electricity bills would increase by, so they can prepare.
Not looking forward to it, but we'll see what percentage increase it goes to.
The lead investigator in the Shane Gibson case told the court today that prosecution witness Jonathan Ash's statement was amended to include the word forego in September 2017. That's 2 months after Ash's original statement was taken and more than a month after Gibson was charged in the magistrate's court. This as the prosecution closed its case in the Gibson trial today. Jared Higgs reports.
Now, the matter was delayed on Monday due to the illness of a juror. It also didn't get started on Tuesday morning, delayed instead until the afternoon. When the trial resumed at 2:30 p.m. Tuesday, jurors sought clarification from lead investigator ASP Deborah Thompson on the date Jonathan Ash's statement was amended to include the word forego. You may recall that last week, Thompson told the court that there was another meeting with Ash, Bastian, and their attorneys where changes were made to his original statement. That change was Ash saying that Deborah Bastian told him that in order to be paid, he would have to forego a payment. Well, in court today, Thompson explained that she took Ash's first statement on June 28th, which he signed on June 30th. She says the joint meeting was held on September 25th, and that was when Ash's statement was amended to include the word forego. This would mean the statement was amended to include that word more than a month after Shane Gibson was charged in the magistrate's court. The prosecution and defense then agreed on the submission of extraction reports that were placed in evidence. The jury heard that the reports were first mentioned by Inspector Siobhan Dames and Detective Sergeant Dale Strawn. Those reports were from data taken from two of Ash's cell phones, an iPhone 5 and a Samsung Galaxy S7. The reports show a number of phone calls and text messages that were referred to in evidence. Lead prosecutor James Guthrie added that data that wasn't relevant to the case was redacted. After submitting that final piece of evidence, the prosecution closed its case. Jurors were dismissed until Thursday, as the defense is expected to present legal arguments to Justice Carolita Bethel on Wednesday morning. Gibson faces 15 counts of bribery. He has denied those charges. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
On the heels of an Inter-American Development Bank report which revealed that Hurricane Dorian caused $72 million in damage to schools in Grand Bahama and Abaco, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd says he doesn't know how the IDB arrived at that figure.
I can't tell you how they arrived at their figures. Our initial estimate was in the $40 million range, but at the time that I made that announcement, I did say that the assessments were continuing. I should have better information with the assistance of the Ministry of Works by this Friday, so we could know what the entirety of the scope of repairs and rebuilding would be to the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Works.
According to the IDB report, 45 educational facilities on the two islands experienced varying levels of damage during the storm, which impacted nearly 11,000 students and 800 teachers. 7 schools were destroyed, according to IDB. Lloyd says it will take years to recover.
It's still a very serious situation that we have underway in terms of our repairs, but Abaco is, as you know, decimated, and it'll take several years before we can bring ourselves back to what we consider to be a state of normalcy.
A waste of taxpayers' money. That's how the health minister described a contract signed under the previous administration. Dr. Dwayne Sands said more than $8 million was wasted on a digital patient information system. Jillian Gray has more.
The health minister was frank in his comments as he said the previous administration paid millions for a digital patient record system. However, years later, he said nothing has been delivered.
I'm sure that taxpayers would expect that if millions of dollars of their money is spent, that they can get something for it.
In 2016, the Christie administration signed an $18 million contract with U.S.-based company Allscripts and Infor Lawson to implement an integrated health information management system. Dr. Sands said up to $8 million has been spent on that system, but nothing was done. Though Sands initially said the project would be completed in 2018, he revealed today they've had to start over.
We don't have an electronic medical record, and it is quite disconcerting that many years after signing this contract that we have little to show, and we basically had to start over.
Sands added that the damage and lost files during Hurricane Dorian could have possibly been avoided if the system was up and running. Opposition spokesman Michael Darville, who touted the move as beneficial to the Northern Bahamas when it was first introduced, called Sands' comments on the matter a political distraction. He insisted there is nothing to apologize for, as the contract was made with a reputable company. He blamed the Minnis administration for the project's failure and said government could be facing a lawsuit because of a breach in contract.
I don't believe that the Minister for Grand Bahama was ever the substantive Minister of Health, nor was the Minister of National Security, nor was the Prime Minister, nor were a number of other people that carried the health portfolio in the previous administration. And so the diffusion of attention probably led, in part, on hold to this mess.
Despite the contract's failure, Dr. Sands said they are still planning to upgrade the digital patient information system with the help of a U.S.-based medical facility, the World Health Organization, and PAHO. Sands said they've already got the ball rolling. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says the Bahamas will be guided by other countries as it moves towards amending its laws surrounding marijuana prohibition. Speaking exclusively to Our News on Monday, Minnis said he was eager to see the Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana's recommendations surrounding the way forward for the plan. Minnis says once the Commission's report is published, the next step is determining the legal framework.
It is essential for us to have the proper legislative framework and regulations in place, and we adhere to to it. We have to be guided by those countries that have gone through it before, example Canada, so they can assist us with putting forth the legislative framework and moving forward.
Minnis says he supports decriminalizing the possession of small amounts of marijuana, as well as legalizing marijuana for medicinal and scientific purposes. He cited the prevalence of young people, especially men, who have had their lives negatively impacted as a result of being caught with the drug. He added that a person's upbringing has a lot to do with the decisions they make long term.
You have individuals in homes where adults feel that it's pretty to give young kids, the young ones, 5, 7-year-olds, oh, taste this tastes so good, and they can get hooked on those things. So I think education is very, very important, and we would embark on a very vigorous, aggressive educational program through high schools, colleges, etc.
Ultimately, he says education on the issue is key.
We must advance or commence some educational process so that our young people, our families, everyone would understand the whole process, to understand what we're doing, understand how it may benefit you, etc.
Still to come, government to beef up security on Potter's Key Dock. Plus, the National Security Minister responds to abuse allegations. Stay tuned.